2, 1.
This meeting is now called to order. Good morning. My name is Commissioner Pat Kemp, and I'm chair of the HART Strategic Planning and External Relations Committee. Welcome to the March 15, 2021 Strategic Planning and External Relations Committee meeting. The meeting format is virtual. We were unable to secure the quorum that's required for a hybrid meeting. And we'll start this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please look at the screens of your devices, and the image of the flag is displayed. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, staff, if we could have you do the roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. This is Danielle from HART. Director Frazier indicated that she would be absent. Director Hudson indicated he would be absent. Director Johnson?
Here.
Committee Chair Kemp?
Here.
Director Overman?
Here.
Director McLean?
Here.
Director Schisler?
Here.
That concludes attendance. Thank you.
Thank you. We should be able to have a pretty light meeting this morning. Roles and responsibilities for the committee are included on page 3. Rules for participation are provided for in your packets on page 4. Next, on page 5 of the packet, you'll see the Strategic Planning and External Relations Committee hybrid meeting minutes from February 15, 2021. Please review them and let staff know of any edits or comments. And due to a lack of physical quorum, the approval will be deferred to another meeting. The next agenda item is public comment. I do not believe we have anyone for public comment this morning. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So we will now conclude the public input section of the meeting, and we'll move to our presentation. And we have the bus replacement plan. Nick Goulbourne, Technical Support Coordinator, you are recognized to give us this presentation.
Good morning, committee members, Madam Chair. Can everyone hear me properly?
A little bit more volume would be good if you can do that.
Okay. My name is Nicholas Goulbourne. I'm a Technical Support Coordinator for the Maintenance Department. I'm here today to present to you our bus replacement plan and propose a strategy for your consideration. Next slide, please. Okay. So what the Maintenance Department is asking of this committee today is we're asking the committee to accept a short-term strategy for a diversified fleet that will consist of 70% CNG vehicles, 15% battery electric buses, and 15% clean diesel. Due to our geographical location and our role in the county's emergency evacuation plan, we believe that maintaining a fleet of 15% clean diesels will leave us best prepared to meet this goal. Next slide, please. Our replacement strategy can be broken down in 3 phases. The first phase requires us replacing 68 of our assets that are currently met their useful life. We're hoping to replace these assets with CNG buses. Phase 2 of the replacement strategy will replace 44 buses. These buses we're hoping to replace with electric buses as infrastructure becomes available. We're also presenting that these assets can be moved to the contingency fleet or be disposed of at the end of their useful life. Phase 3 of our replacement strategy will replace 69 buses which belongs to our current CNG fleet. We're hoping that at time of replacement for these assets, we'll have infrastructure in place to switch to an electric fleet. Next slide. Thank you. A BEB project can be broken down in 3 phases. In looking at some of the industry standards and best practices, we noticed that the first phase normally will be the planning and engagement phase. In this phase, we will engage our key stakeholders, public, the officials, and service development to ensure proper route planning and charging infrastructure deployment. The second phase will be the funding phase. There are opportunities available for funding via grants and also key stakeholder partnerships, as we're currently doing with our BEB pilot project with TECO. The speed at which we can deploy an electrified fleet will be contingent upon funding being available and the speed at which we can get infrastructure in place. Next slide. The table before you was modified from Mr. Dranville's presentation earlier. What we did for the committee is we did a comparison between a CNG and an electric bus replacement. The highlighted rows are assets that are currently met or exceeded their useful life. So the first phase of our replacement strategy, model years 2006 through 2010, we're hoping to replace these assets with CNG buses. The second phase will be our model years 2011 through 2014. These assets currently belong to our clean diesel subfleet, and we would retain the 15% for emergency preparation from these assets. The remaining years are our current CNG fleet, they're 2015 through 2019. Hopefully by the time these assets are due to be replaced, we'll have infrastructure in place so we can deploy a fully electric fleet. This should be around 2035 by our estimate. Please keep in mind that this table represents a 1-to-1 ratio, and for us to deploy an electric fleet, we will need robust on-route charging infrastructure. Next slide. This concludes my presentation. Does the committee have any questions?
Okay, I see Director Councilman Schisler has a question. You're recognized or comment?
Yes, thank you. Nice presentation, thank you. I was just curious, in the beginning you said that the short-term horizon, how long is that horizon? Is that the 2035 timeframe? Is that the next 6 months, 2 years, 5 years? Could you define that a little bit better?
Short term would be the next up to 2 years, in our opinion.
Okay, so we're trying to get to 15% electric vehicles. I don't have a slide in front of me. How many was that?
15% of our, looking at our current fleet side, 15% would be roughly 26 vehicles with our current fleet. Please keep in mind that our current fleet size is, there's a possibility of change, so that number might be flexible, or might change over the years. But as our fleet is today.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much for your answer. My concern is that outside of the 4 buses that we currently have on order, I believe that with the death of the sales tax initiative, the All for Transportation initiative, it's going to be at least another couple of years before any new sources of funding are available. So I'm not sure how we can even come close to meeting that portion of the plan in the time of the horizon. That this is a little bit concerning, and I hope we're not just paying lip service to the expectation of eventually going to full electric when I don't see any possible way of doing that until any new tax or funding initiatives are A, approved by the county, B, approved by the voters. So I was just a little bit concerned with that type of a presentation. I just don't know how we'll be able to afford to do any of that.
Let me probably correct. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, if you don't
No, go
mind for a
ahead.
second.
What were you going to say?
Excuse me, this is Adelie Grant. I think Nicholas would like to clarify. I think there was a misunderstanding in his chart here, so I just want to let you know he was trying to raise his hand.
Okay. The 0 to 2 year
Sure, go ahead.
portion will be the phase in which we're going to be planning our strategy for our electrified fleet. So in terms of actually procuring electric assets, we're looking out to 5 years. So we're hopeful that within that 5 years, we can capitalize on opportunities from the federal government that will supplement some of our costs going forward. So in terms of actually procuring assets, we're looking at 5 years to get infrastructure starting, to start deploying infrastructure. So the first 2 years will be our planning phase where we're planning our routes and making preparations going forward.
If I could just say, Councilman Schizler, I know you didn't have the opportunity to attend Friday's workshop that we had, and part of that discussion that came was about the federal possibilities at this point, which could be on fairly short order and fairly robust. The earmark has come back to the federal government, and one of the first things is that we may be able to get an earmark federally, which, I had asked at that time about what it could be, just even for in the next few months, for $2 to $3 million, and we kind of talked about how one of the probably the most logical or the thing, because it had to be spent also. I think there were some conditions in the year it was given, and it would be we agreed that one of the, what we could pursue in that would be like 2 to 3 electric buses. But there's also, we think that there'll be other, just so you know, that there should be on the short term, perhaps, other sources like that with the Lono grants that the federal government's giving, probably being very focused on electric at this time, and special transit consideration in even the next 2 years federally. So that may be a source for, I know he clarified that not necessarily replacing any of these right away with electric, but that there might be another source besides the ones that you're contemplating.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the information.
And I don't see anybody else's hand up, and seeing no other discussion. I'm just very, very pleased to see this. Thank you for the presentation, and I think it's one of the first times that I've seen HART contemplating all electric fleet. I know they're doing it all over the country in very big jurisdictions moving forward with that. So I think it's a good schedule. We have quite a bit of needs right now, but I'm hoping that we can get some of our really depleted fleet replaced in the next couple of years, and we'll just see how it moves forward. And I was thinking the other point that was made on Friday was, or when I saw this the first time, was that then we'll be looking too at how this works with the budget at that time. But a lot of it is dependent on some of these grants that we just don't even know and possibilities right now. But I think that's great news, and thank you for the presentation. And with that, we have one of the shortest meetings we've ever had. We have old business. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Okay. Hearing none, this is a record. The meeting's adjourned.